Being a former US president has its benefits. You receive a pension for the rest of your life, can manage to buy some of the priciest homes, can take the best getaways with your affluent friends around the world, and still has money left over for extras. Moreover, you are no longer required to hold one of the most challenging positions in the nation. Join us for today's video on Ultimate Luxury as we examine how former US presidents spent their millions. But before we begin, if you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe to Ultimate Luxury, like, comment, and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on future videos. Now, let's dive in. Bill Clinton. Former President Bill Clinton was clever enough to come up with $1.7 million after he left office in 2001 to buy a house in Chappaqua, New York. The 5-bedroom, 4-bath home is a 3-story Dutch colonial structure constructed in the style of an old farmhouse in 1889. The house on Old House Lane has undergone numerous updates and patches over the years. Bill Clinton bought a house on Embassy Row in Washington, D.C. to be closer to his wife and friends who still work there. They began purchasing the surrounding land as well, and they eventually built the Clinton compound, which includes a 3-bedroom home on one and a half acres of land next door. Although it had an asking price of over $3 million, the smooth talker managed to secure the 1951 Georgian-style terraced house for $2.85 million. Although it has 7 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, his wife Hillary uses the home the majority of the time, so she has all the personal space she requires. There are statues thoughtfully placed all throughout the space as fun amazement for the guests. Private memorabilia and artwork decorate the walls, and old vintage rugs cover the floors. There is even a painting by James Bond, Mr. Pierce Brosnan himself. You won't catch Clinton flying in coach with the rest of us. When President Clinton is traveling the world delivering a speech and gathering with fellow former politicians, he charters private planes from anywhere between $25,000 and $45,000. The Clinton team is known to prefer the huge and opulent Gulfstream 450, but he frequently works with the executive flightways, which offers customers a range of diverse private jets with some costing up to $7,500 per hour. He also has been seen as a visitor in his close friend's private Boeing 727, which is furnished with expensive things throughout. Clinton has also been spotted visiting Quebec and residing at the opulent Manoir Beauvais Resort. The resort is 35 acres in size, and one room alone charges up of $600 per night. The family spent about a week at the resort, spending at least $10,000, which to them is just a drop in the bucket. President Clinton also visited the Dominican Republic for a holiday, and it turns out that he likes to visit the country frequently. The former president's preferred resorts are Casa de Campo and Punta Cana Resort and Club, both of which have pricing that starts at $500 per night. And you can be sure that the Clintons are spending a lot of money on the private rooms. Unbelievably, Bill Clinton enjoys collecting watches. He has wristwatches from brands like Audemars Piguet, Panerai, Jaeger-LeCoultre, and more. 2 of his most expensive watches are made by the German watchmaker A. Lange and Son. One is a platinum grand Langmatic Gunk Reserve that is only available in 100 pieces and costs about $30,000. He has also been spotted wearing a Richard Lang pour Le Mérite that costs about $65,000. Barack Obama. After departing the White House in 2017, Barack Obama and his wife Michelle purchased an $8 million home in the affluent Kalorama community of Washington, D.C. The 8,500 square foot of Tudor style townhouse has 9 bedrooms with plenty of space for their diplomatic guests, famous friends, and their 2 daughters, who each have their own suites in the house. While the home may not be as luxurious as others we've seen, it is still very opulent. Obama can't contemplate his post-presidential existence in the home's many suede and leather lounge chairs, which also have white wooden floors throughout. There's also the $11.75 million home in Martha's Vineyard, which is situated on 30 acres of land and has excellent views of the Atlantic Ocean. It has a modest 2-car garage, a pool, and a disconnected barn, but it also features 7 bedrooms and 8.5 bathrooms. plenty of stone fireplaces for some fireside conversations, and 2 guest wings so anyone wanting to stay over can feel like they're staying in a personal hotel room. After leaving office, President Obama had more than enough time to travel. In 2017, he took a flight to Milan on a private plane and spent 2 nights at a 5-star Hyatt for a reported $10,000 per night. However, when the jet touches the ground, there's no way he's taking a cab. Instead, he had a 14-car caravan to ensure he arrived at the hotel securely and in fashion. After that, he sped off to Tuscany and spent some time at an expensive $20,000 hilltop cabin. The man also enjoys traveling quickly, and after becoming accustomed to using Air Force One, private jets are his preferred mode of transportation. He has flown on Richard Branson's Falcon 900EX and a Bombardier jet from the Swiss company VistaJet. He also enjoys taking his yearly trip to Hawaii, where the Obama family stays at the Hale Rena estate, which can be rented for anywhere near between $5,000 and $10,000 per night. Although the total cost of these post-presidential vacations is unknown, it is approximated that they cost the state $3.5 million while Obama was in office due to the care and protection that was implemented when transporting him. Although Obama typically wore a modest York Grey watch while he was president, he has since advanced to a white gold Rolex Cellini, which cost him about $15,000, demonstrating his liking for luxury. Donald Trump spent a lot of money both before and during his administration, so it's safe to assume that he will continue to do so. He currently holds property worth more than $122 million. His primary residence is the Trump Tower, where he also owns the $54 million penthouse, which is over 10,000 square feet, and purportedly home to the fabled gold toilet. It is situated on 5th Avenue in New York, and offers some distinctive views of Central Park. But when the leader wants to get away from the capital, he retires upstate to his residence in Bedford, New York. This more exurban home is worth $24 million, and it is a 39,000 square foot mansion that sits on 213 acres of land and has 60 rooms, 12 bathrooms, 2 servant wings, a marble pool, and a bowling alley. Then there are the homes in Florida. The president owns several properties in Palm Beach with a combined value of $25 million. Remember Mar-a-Lago? It was previously priced $20 million, but Trump was able to negotiate a price reduction to $8 million, which was still a good deal for him. This insanely luxurious home features gold-plated sinks, vintage items, and even a $20,000 square foot ballroom that cost him $7 million to build. It appears to be a perfect match for a king and his court when it was first constructed in 2005 for his marriage to Melania. But don't ignore his private golf club where he goes to unwind and perhaps close a few contracts. It's so huge that it has a personal helipad so the previous president can bypass the area's beach traffic. And since Trump isn't traveling around in Air Force One anymore, he'll have to resort back to his own Boeing 757, which has his name inscribed on the corners to notify everybody he owns the clouds. It is designed to hold 239 passengers, but Trump, who despises sharing, had his plane fitted to hold just 43 people. Even the seatbelts on the aircraft are made of 24-karat gold, and the upholstery is embroidered with his family sigil. The master suite has a silk lining and a big screen entertainment center. The master bathroom has 24-karat gold fittings and a full shower. The former president spent a staggering $100 million on the specially retrofitted Boeing, proving that the man knows what he likes. But you never know. We might see Donald Trump take to the skies once more in the presidential suite of Air Force One. Then there are the watches, of course. President Trump normally wears a gold Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse, which costs around $16,000. When he chooses not to, he instead wears the even more pricey $38,000 Rolex Day-Date, which is appropriate for Trump because it is frequently referred to as the president's watch. George W. Bush. Do you recall President George W. Bush? After leaving office, he is still living it up in his own way even though he is no longer in the spotlight. His home is a bit more on the humble side. The former president returned to his roots and decided to retire to his stunning Texas ranch. The Bushes decided to plant native red cypress and blue bonnets, which they can enjoy on their expansive outdoor patio. The modest home, which is made of a limestone and only one story high, enables them to focus on the expansive scenery enclosing it. Unlike some of the other heads of state on our list, the former president only had one home, but it was the ideal place to find some tranquility and calmness. The decor of the home has a more traditional feel with lacquered hardwood floors, well-kept antiques, and many of the walls are decorated with the former president's own artwork. The man is well into his 70s and has likely left the high-profile social scene behind him after working one of the most difficult jobs on earth. George W. Bush won't be traveling on economy flights like the majority of us, because he is living off of his and this adorable little house away from it all only cost him $1.3 million. He has been spotted flying in a luxurious Gulfstream 4, which is more than twice the price as the Texas ranch. It's unknown whether he owns the jet or charters it, but if he does, a second-hand Gulfstream 4 only costs about $2.8 million. Bush could pay up to $26 million if you were to purchase a brand new aircraft, so even renting a Gulfstream 4 for the weekend would be expensive. Jimmy Carter. Then there is former President Jimmy Carter, who served as president from 1977 to 1981. He is currently 96 years old and leads a fairly modest lifestyle, despite having held the nation's highest position. The oldest surviving former president continues to settle permanently in the ranch house that he constructed in 1961, in Plains, Georgia, using only his hands, and although it is likely worth considerably less now than it was 60 years ago, the ranch is only worth $167,000. Contrary to popular belief, President Carter usually devotes the weekends to family and acquaintances, eating off paper plates while sipping cheap wine and enjoying freshly made yogurt with his wife Rosalind. Despite leading a modest lifestyle, President Carter continues to receive a yearly pension that is almost 2 times as much as the cost of his home. And he continues to receive licensing fees from all 33 books that have been published over the past 40 years. He even continues to buy his clothing items at the neighborhood dollar store. His preferred watch brand is a straightforward Timex. If you're taking a commercial plane out of Georgia, it's possible that you'll run into President Carter. Jimmy Carter has even been seen interacting with every single guest on the full flight. The aircraft may have left a little later than scheduled, but it was worth it. He still takes a plane to the swearing-in ceremony of presidents, although he decides to live within or sometimes below his means. The man has more money than the rest of us but still appreciates the practical things. He is the ideal living proof that happiness can take many multiple variations, whether one is partying it up in Milan or relaxing with a quiet game of bridge at home on the ranch. Well, there you have it. What do you think? Who is your favorite former president? Let us know in the comment section below. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to Ultimate Luxury and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on future videos. See you next time.